February 28, 2026. The sky over the Persian Gulf is still black when Sergeant Daniel Reyes opens his eyes. He doesn't remember falling asleep. The inside of the armored transport hums like a living thing, low, constant, mechanical. Around him, men sit in silence, helmets strapped tight, rifles resting between their knees. No one speaks. No one needs to. They all heard the same words 2 hours ago. This is not an exercise. Reyes shifts slightly, feeling the weight of his gear pressing into his ribs. Body armor, extra mags, radio. Everything feels heavier. Tonight, like gravity itself has changed. Across from him, Corporal Hayes stares at the floor. His lips move, but no sound comes out. Praying, maybe, or counting. Reyes doesn't ask. A red light flickers above the rear hatch. 5 minutes, the driver calls back. 5 minutes until what? No one says it out loud. Reyes closes his eyes again, but all he sees is the briefing room. Satellite images, missile sites, all fields, names of cities that now feel like targets instead of places where people live. Tehran, Bandar Abbas, Isfahan, and one phrase that hasn't left his head: if we don't strike first, they will. The transport jolts, tires grinding over uneven terrain. Outside, faint flashes ripple across the horizon. Not lightning. Explosions. Hayes finally looks up. That ours. Reyes doesn't answer right away. He listens. Counts the seconds between flashes and sound. Yeah, he says quietly. That's ours. But even as he says it, something doesn't feel right. The timing is off. The rhythm is wrong. The red light turns solid. The vehicle slows. 30 seconds. Reyes grips his rifle tighter, his pulse now sensing with the pounding of the engine. This is it, the moment before everything changes, before history rewrites itself in fire and steel. He leans toward Hayes. Stick close. No hero stuff. Hayes nods, forcing a thin smile. Wasn't planning on it. The rear hatch slams open. Cold air rushes in sharp, metallic, carrying the distant echo of chaos. Reyes steps out into the darkness and freezes. The horizon is burning. Not just one strike. Not controlled. Not precise. Entire sections of coastline are lit up in uncontrolled fire. Secondary explosions ripple outward like chain reactions. Something went very wrong. Overhead, jets scream across the sky, but not just one side. Reyes squints upward. 2 formations. Closing fast. ... That single quotes as not. Hayes starts. Then the sky erupts. Missiles streak. One jet breaks apart midair, scattering fire across the dawn. Reyes feels it in his chest before he understands it. This isn't a strike. This is war. And it's already out of control. The explosion above them doesn't fade, it multiplies. Reyes drops instinctively, dragging Hayes down beside him as burning debris rains from the sky. Metal fragments scream as they cut through the air, slamming into sand, armor, flesh. Somewhere behind them, a man cries out, "Move!" Someone shouts, but move where? The plan is already gone. Reyes forces himself up, scanning the chaos. The landing zone, if that's what this was supposed to be, is no longer secure. Fires spread across the shoreline. Thick black smoke rising in columns that choke the horizon. Radios crackle with overlapping voices, none clear, none in control. Airspace compromised. Repeat, compromised. Unknown launches detected inland. This wasn't in the briefing. No, it wasn't. Hayes grabs Reyes' shoulder. Sergeant, what the hell is happening? Reyes doesn't answer. He's watching the sky. Another jet roars overhead, too low, too fast. Its silhouette is wrong. Not American. Not friendly. Down, Reyes shouts. The jet releases something small, fast, falling in a tight cluster. Not bombs. Missiles. They hit the far side of the transport convoy. The world tears open. The blast punches through Reyes' chest, knocking the air from his lungs as he's thrown backward into the dirt. Heat rolls over him like a wave, followed by a pressure so violent it feels like his bones might shatter. For a moment, there is nothing but ringing silence. Then the screams return. Reyes forces himself onto his elbows. The convoy is gone, vehicles reduced to burning skeletons, ammunition cooking off in violent pops and flashes. Soldiers stumble through smoke, some on fire, some dragging others who won't move again. This wasn't a warning shot. This was an ambush. Hayes is beside him, coughing, eyes wide with shock. They knew we were here. Reyes shakes his head, trying to focus. No, not just us. He looks toward the coastline again. Missile trails streak upward from inland, dozens of them, arcing into the sky in coordinated waves. Not random, not panicked, planned. One of the radio operators crawls past, blood running down the side of his face. He shoves a headset toward Reyes. Listen, just listen. Reyes hesitates, then presses it to his ear. At first, it's noise, static, panic. Then a voice cuts through, calm, controlled, unmistakably official. Multiple regional launches confirmed. This is not limited. Repeat, this is not limited. A pause, then the words that freeze Reyes in place. We are under full-scale retaliatory attack. Reyes lowers the headset slowly. Retaliatory. That means this didn't start here. That means another explosion shakes the ground. Closer this time. Hayes stares at him. Retaliation for what? Reyes looks out at the burning horizon. The sky filled with fire and metal. The battlefield already slipping beyond control. And for the first time, he realizes the truth. They weren't sent to prevent a war. They were sent into one that had already begun. The ground doesn't stop shaking. Reyes feels it through his hands as he presses himself up again. Every movement slower now, heavier. The air tastes like metal and ash. Each breath burns. He grabs Hayes by the vest and pulls him behind the shattered remains of a vehicle. The steel is still hot, humming with trapped heat. Stay low, Reyes mutters. Hayes nods, but his eyes keep drifting upward to the sky that won't stop screaming. Another jet spirals down in the distance, trailing black smoke. It disappears behind the burning horizon, followed by a dull, distant boom. Reyes forces himself to think, find command, regroup, survive. But none of it fits the situation anymore. A figure stumbles through the smoke toward them. Lieutenant Carter. His uniform is torn, face streaked with soot, one sleeve dark with blood. Reyes, he shouts, voice cracking. We're pulling back, this zone's lost. Pulling back where, sir? Reyes fires back. Carter hesitates, just for a second, and that's enough. We don't have coordinates yet, the lieutenant admits. Comms are fragmented. We regroup at Rally Point Echo if you can find it. If, Reyes exchanges a look with Hayes. There is no map for this. No clear lines. Just fire and confusion. Another series of impacts hits inland deep. Rolling detonations that feel different. Heavier. Slower. Artillery, but not theirs. Reyes peeks over the wreckage. On the far ridge, faint silhouettes move through the smoke. Vehicles. Multiple. Advancing. Not retreating. Contact front. Reyes shouts. Gunfire erupts almost immediately sharp. Controlled bursts cutting through the chaos. Bullets snap overhead, slamming into twisted metal, kicking up sand in violent sprays. Hayes flinches. They're pushing already. They're not waiting, Reyes replies grimly. He raises his rifle, sights locking onto a shadow moving between the flames. He squeezes the trigger. Short burst. The figure drops, but two more replace it. Then 5. This isn't a counterattack. This is a coordinated advance. Carter crawls beside them, breath ragged. We hold here. We die. We move. We might make it. Through that, Hayes asks, glancing at the open ground between them and the inland cover. Gunfire intensifies. Tracer rounds cutting glowing lines through the smoke-filled air. Reyes makes the decision. On me, he says. No hesitation. He rises from cover and sprints. The world narrows instantly, just movement, breath, impact. Bullets tear into the ground around him, close enough to feel their passage. Hayes is right behind him. Carter follows, slower, limping. Halfway across, something changes. A sound, low, distant, growing. Reyes glances up and his blood runs cold. Missiles, not incoming, outgoing, from their position, from somewhere behind them, dozens of them launching in rapid succession, streaking upward into the sky. Reyes stumbles slightly, staring. That's ours. Hayes breathes, but Reyes isn't so sure anymore, because those missiles aren't heading toward the... Reyes doesn't stop running. The ground beneath his boots is uneven craters, debris, bodies. Every step risks a fall, and falling here means death. He hears Hayes behind him, breath ragged but steady. Carter is further back now, struggling. Gunfire snaps past them, closer with every second. Left, into the trench. Reyes shouts. A shallow defensive line appears through the smoke, half collapsed. Barely visible, not much cover, but enough. Reyes dives in hard, hitting the dirt shoulder first. Hayes crashes in beside him a moment later. Carter stumbles, nearly falling, but Reyes grabs his vest and drags him down, just as a burst of rounds tears through the air above them. For a second, all three lie there, pressed into the earth, alive, barely. Reyes lifts his head slowly. The trench is abandoned, old, hastily dug, probably from an earlier phase of the operation that never went as planned. Spent casings litter the ground. A broken helmet sits half buried in mud. This place was already fought over. Ammo check, Reyes says, voice low but firm. Half, Hayes replies. Carter doesn't answer immediately. He's staring at the sky again. Reyes follows his gaze. The missile trails are still, climbing thin white, lines cutting upward through smoke and cloud. Too many, far too many. Then, faintly, flashes, high altitude, distant impacts. Not here, not even close. Reyes feels something tighten in his chest. Those aren't tactical, he mutters. Hayes frowns. Then what are they hitting? Before Reyes can answer, the radio at Carter's side crackles to life again, louder this time. Clearer, like the chaos is aligning just enough to deliver the truth. Multiple cities reporting impacts. Naval assets lost in the Gulf. Repeat, lost. This is escalating beyond regional control. Carter grabs the radio. Command, this is Lieutenant Carter. We need extraction coordinates. We are under heavy. The signal cuts, replaced by another voice. Different. Higher authority. Cold. Controlled. All units, be advised, rules of engagement have changed. This is now a full theater conflict. A pause. Then, you are authorized to engage all hostile forces without restriction. Silence follows. Even the gunfire feels distant for a moment. Hayes shakes his head slowly. Without restriction. What does that even mean? Reyes doesn't answer right away, because he knows exactly what it means. No more lines. No more limits. This isn't containment. It's escalation. A sudden impact slams into the trench nearby, showering them with dirt. The ground trembles again. Closer this time, more precise. They've been spotted. Reyes snaps back into motion. We move again now. Carter grabs his arm. Move where? There's no safe direction left. Reyes meets his eyes. For the first time, there's no certainty there. No clear plan. Just instinct. Then we move before they close in, he says. Another explosion hits closer still. The trench won't hold. The sky above burns with trails of war reaching far beyond. Reyes moves first. He pulls himself up from the trench, ignoring the instinct to stay buried. The moment he rises, the noise slams back in gunfire. Explosions. The tearing sound of jets ripping across the sky. Go, he shouts. Hayes follows without hesitation. Carter lags a second, just long enough to feel the weight of the decision, then climbs out after them. They run inland, not toward safety, toward uncertainty. The terrain changes quickly, loose sand giving way to rough, broken ground scattered with low ridges and scrub. Visibility drops as smoke thickens, drifting in heavy waves across the battlefield. Behind them, the trench disappears in a violent burst of flame. Gone. Reyes doesn't look back again. Ahead, shapes emerge through the haze. Structures. Low buildings, concrete, partially damaged but still standing. Maybe an abandoned outpost, maybe something worse. Cover up there. Hayes calls out. Reyes nods, but slows slightly. Something feels off. Too quiet. The gunfire behind them fades just enough to make the silence ahead feel unnatural. Hold, Reyes whispers, raising a hand. They drop low, crouching behind a jagged ridge. Reyes studies the buildings. No movement. No visible patrols. No signs of life. That's the problem. A place like this close to an active combat zone shouldn't be empty. Carter exhales slowly. Could be clear, or it's not, Reyes replies. A faint sound drifts through the air. Not whined. Voices. Distant. Controlled. Speaking a language Reyes doesn't understand, but the tone is unmistakable. Organized. Calm. Prepared. They're in there, Hayes murmurs. Reyes nods once. This isn't an abandoned outpost. It's a forward position. And they just ran straight toward it. Before Reyes can react, a sharp beam of light cuts through the smoke sweeping across the ridge, stopping just short of their position. Searchlight. Don't move, Reyes breathes. The beam lingers, then shifts away. For now. Carter leans closer. We go around. Reyes scans the terrain. Open ground on both sides. No real cover. If they move wide, they'll be exposed. If they stay, they'll be found. Another sound rises deeper this time. Engines. Multiple. Reyes peers through the haze again and sees them. Armored vehicles. Not retreating. Positioning. They're setting a line, Reyes says quietly. Hayes swallows. For us. No, Reyes answers. His gaze lifts past the buildings, past the smoke, toward the distant horizon where the missile trails had vanished. For something bigger. The realization hits all three of them at once. This battlefield isn't the objective. It's the front door. A sudden burst of radio chatter crackles from Carter's set, again louder. Urgent. Overlapping voices stepping on each other. Then one cuts through. Impact confirmed. Multiple capitals repeat multiple capitals. The signal distorts, but the message is clear enough. Reyes feels the ground shift under him, not from an explosion this time, but from the weight of understanding. The searchlight blinds them. For a split second, Reyes sees nothing but white. Then the world snaps back into motion as bullets tear into the ridge, spraying dirt and rock into the air. Down, he shouts, but they're already moving. Reyes grabs Hayes and shoves him sideways, both of them tumbling behind a jagged outcrop as gunfire chews through the space they occupied seconds ago. Carter dives the other direction, rolling hard, barely clearing the line of fire. The silence is gone. Now it's controlled chaos. Short, disciplined bursts come from the outpost. Not panic, not wild shooting. They know exactly where to aim. They've got us pinned. Hayes yells, pressing himself flat against the ground. Reyes forces himself to breathe, to think through the noise. The searchlight sweeps again, tighter this time, locking down their positions. They're trying to box us in, he says. Carter's voice cuts in from the right. There's too many, we can't outrun this. Reyes glances toward the buildings again. More movement now, shadows turning into soldiers, advancing in coordinated lines. Behind them, the armored vehicles shift into position, their turrets adjusting with slow, deliberate precision. This isn't a random encounter. This is a kill zone. Another burst slams into the rock above Reyes, sending fragments slicing past his face. He flinches, then leans out just enough to return fire to quick shots. A figure drops near the edge of the outpost, but it changes nothing. They're not slowing down, Hayes mutters. Reyes knows why. Because they don't have to. A low rumble begins to build, not from the battlefield, but from somewhere deeper, stronger, heavier. The armored vehicles. Their engines grow louder as they begin to move forward, closing the distance. Reyes feels the time slipping away. Stay here, and they get surrounded. Run, and they get cut down. Fight, and they might buy seconds. He makes the call. Suppress and move. Reyes orders. Hayes doesn't hesitate, he leans out. Firing control bursts toward the advancing line. Carter joins in from his position, creating just enough disruption. Reyes moves. He breaks from cover, sprinting low and fast toward a shallow depression ahead. Bullets chase him instantly, tearing through the ground at his heels. One grazes his shoulder sharp, burning, but he doesn't stop. He drops hard into the depression, rolling onto his back. Move, he shouts back. Hayes runs next, faster than Reyes expects. He makes it halfway, then stumbles. Reyes' chest tightens. Hayes scrambles, regains his footing, and dives into the depression beside him, breathing hard but alive. Carter is last. He rises, and the sound changes. A deeper crack, a heavier weapon. Reyes sees it before it happens, the flash from one of the vehicles. Carter down. Too late. The round slams into the ground just short of Carter, detonating in a violent blast that throws him backward into the smoke. Everything goes still for a heartbeat. Then the dust begins. For a moment, Reyes doesn't hear the gunfire. Just a dull, hollow ringing like the world has been pushed underwater. Dust hangs thick in the air where Carter disappeared. Smoke curls slowly upward, swallowing the shape of the blast. Carter. Hayes' voice cuts through, strained, uncertain. Reyes doesn't answer. He's already moving. Cover me, he snaps, pulling himself out of the depression before Hayes can protest. Reyes don't. Too late. Reyes sprints straight into the smoke. The battlefield narrows again, just shadows and heat and the taste of burning metal. Bullets snap past him, but they feel distant now, secondary to the single thought driving him forward. Find him. The ground is torn open where the round hit. A shallow crater, edges still glowing with heat. And there, a shape. Reyes drops to his knees beside Carter. He's alive. Barely. His body is twisted at an unnatural angle, uniform shredded, blood soaking into the dirt beneath him. His eyes are open, unfocused, trying to lock onto something that keeps slipping away. Stay with me, Reyes says, gripping his vest. Carter's lips move. No sound comes out at first. Then, wasn't supposed to be like this. Reyes swallows hard. I know. Just hold on. Gunfire intensifies behind him. Hayes is still firing, still holding them off, but not for long. Carter's hand weakly grabs Reyes' arm. His grip is surprisingly strong for a man already halfway gone. Listen, Carter forces out. Radio. Command. They said. Second wave. Reyes leans closer. What second wave? Carter's eyes shift past Reyes, toward the sky. Not ours. The words hang there. Then his grip loosens. Gone. Reyes doesn't move for a second. He's seen death before. Too many times. But this feels different, not just loss, but timing. The kind that comes right before something worse. Reyes? Hayes shouts. We've got to go now. Reyes closes Carter's eyes with one hand, then grabs the radio clipped to his vest. Yeah, he mutters. We're going. He turns, and freezes. The sound Carter warned about reaches him. Not jets, not artillery. Something deeper, slower. Dozens of distant impacts far beyond the battlefield. Not random, rhythmic, expanding. Reyes looks up. The sky is changing. High above the smoke, faint streaks appear descending this time. Too many to count, too wide to be local. Hayes sees them too. What is that? Reyes doesn't answer, because he already knows. Those missiles they saw earlier. This is the response. And it's not aimed at them. It's aimed at everything. The first distant flash blooms on the horizon, then another, and another. Not explosions of battle. Something far worse. Reyes grabs Hayes' arm. We move, now. But where? Hayes demands. Reyes stares at the burning skyline, at the falling streaks, At a war that has just crossed a line no one can uncross. Anywhere that's not here. Because whatever is coming next, this battlefield is about to become the least of their problems. Reyes runs. Not toward an objective. Not toward victory. Just away. The ground trembles beneath every step now, not from nearby fire, but from something much larger unfolding beyond the horizon. The distant flashes keep coming, each one brighter than the last, each one followed by a low, rolling shockwave that arrives seconds later. Hayes stumbles beside him. Those aren't airstrikes. No, Reyes says, breath tight. They're not. Behind them, the outpost is still alive, gunfire. Engines, searchlights cutting through smoke, but even that feels smaller now, drowned out by the scale of what's happening beyond it. They crest a low ridge and stop. The view opens up inland. A city lies in the distance, industrial, sprawling, dimly lit through layers of smoke and dust, or at least it was. Now, sections of it are burning, not isolated fires. Whole blocks gone. A massive column of smoke rises from the center, thick and unnatural, climbing to high, to fast. Hayes stares. Was that one of ours? Reyes doesn't answer, because there's no clean answer left. Another flash ignites far beyond the city, brighter than anything before it. For a split second, the entire skyline turns white. Then the shockwave hits. Even at this distance, it knocks them off their feet. Reyes slams into the ground, ears ringing, vision blurred. The air itself seems to compress, then snap back. When he looks up again, the skyline has changed. A new column rises, wider, darker. Wrong. Hayes pushes himself up slowly, his voice barely a whisper. That wasn't tactical. Reyes shakes his head. No, he says. That was strategic. And strategic means cities. It means infrastructure. It means escalation. That doesn't stop at soldiers. The radio in his hand crackles again, clearer than before, almost eerily calm. All units, be advised. Multiple high-yield impacts confirmed across regional capitals. A pause. Then, this is now a global conflict. The words settle like dust. Global. Hayes laughs once short, disbelieving. Global, just like that. Reyes doesn't respond, because it was just like that. No declaration. No warning. Just a line crossed in fire. A new sound begins to rise, not from the distance, but from above them. Low. Heavy. Approaching fast. Reyes looks up. Large aircraft, multiple, cut through the smoke-filled sky. Not fighters. Not bombers. Transport. Or worse. They're bringing more in, Hayes says. Reyes watches their path. No, he replies quietly. They're bringing something out. Before Hayes can ask what he means, the ground beneath them shifts again, not from impact, but from movement. Engines. Close. Reyes turns. The armored vehicles from the outpost have crested the ridge behind them. Closer now. Too close. Trapped between advancing forces. And a war that's no longer local. Reyes tightens his grip on his rifle. There's nowhere left to run. So now, they fight. Reyes doesn't speak. There's nothing left to say. The ridge becomes the line. Behind them, armored vehicles grind forward. Engines roaring, turrets locking into place with mechanical certainty. In front of them, the city burns, no longer distant, no longer abstract. The war has expanded, swallowed everything, and now there is no edge to it, only inside it. Hayes exhales slowly. So this is it? Reyes checks his weapon. One magazine left. Maybe two if he counts what's left on his vest. Yeah, he says. This is it. But even as the words leave his mouth, something shifts. Not on the ground. In the air, the low, heavy aircraft overhead begin to change formation. Their engines deepen in tone, stabilizing as they circle, not fleeing, not advancing blindly. Positioning. Reyes narrows his eyes. Wait. Hayes looks at him. What? Reyes points upward. Those aren't extraction birds. The rear ramps of the aircraft begin to open. Dark shapes fall from the sky. Not bombs. Parachutes. Dozens of them. Hayes blinks in disbelief. No way. Reyes feels it click into place. They're reinforcing the line, he says, not retreating from it. Fresh troops descend through smoke and fire, drifting into the chaos with controlled precision. This isn't the end of the fight. It's the beginning of a larger one. The armored vehicles behind them stop advancing. For a moment, everything holds. Both sides, watching, waiting, measuring. Then a voice cracks through Reyes' radio, clear, sharp, unmistakably command. All surviving units, hold your ground. Reinforcements inbound. You are now the forward edge. Forward edge. Reyes almost laughs. They didn't choose this position. They survived into it. Hayes shakes his head. Forward edge of what? Reyes looks out at the burning city, at the falling paratroopers, at the enemy armor tightening behind them, then back at Hayes. Of the line that decides what happens next. The first paratroopers hit the ground ahead, quick, efficient, already moving into formation. weapons up, faces hidden behind gear and smoke. The armored vehicles behind them shift again, guns rising, not firing yet. A standoff. For one breath, two, then, a single shot rings out. No one knows who fired it, but it doesn't matter, because in the next second, the entire ridge erupts. Gunfire crash from both sides, tracers tearing through the air in blinding streaks. Explosions rip across the slope, turning rock and dirt into shrapnel. Reyes steps forward into it, not because he wants to, because there's nowhere else left to go. The world is no longer watching this war begin, it's already inside it. And on this ridge, in this moment, so are they.